Spirit Talkers is brought to you by Southwest Trading Company. Southwest Trading Company is located in Tulsa, Oklahoma at 1306 East 11th Street. Southwest Trading Company is an indigenous-owned business. They have a lot of items like jewelry, blankets, clothing, art, home decor, collectibles, and so much more. Go follow and like their Facebook page to keep up with all events at the store and where they may be setting up. And once again, that is Southwest Trading Company, located in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1306 East 11th Street. Let them know Spirit Talkers sent you. This podcast is brought to you by Native Co. Bead and Supply, a Native-owned and operated craft supply store, founded to give Native artists a way to craft and sustain their creative minds in helping everyone create indigenously. You can shop online at nativecobeadsupply.com or in store at 520 West 12th Street, Ada, Oklahoma, and let them know Spirit Talkers sent you. If you need legal help, don't settle for a traditional law firm where your case might get handed off to an unknown associate. Choose All Rise, Oklahoma's only legal cooperative where the attorney who shakes your hand is the one fighting for you. Whether it's wrongful death, an insurance dispute, or a semi-truck wreck, All Rise has the skilled attorneys for your legal needs, led by Judge Austin Vance from Pawnee, Oklahoma. Our team is dedicated to winning your case. With over $10 million recovered for clients last year, you'll be in great hands. We offer free initial consultations and are available to meet you at home or remotely, making it easier than ever to get the legal support you deserve. Specializing in Indian law and civil litigation, All Rise is committed to justice for all. Visit allrise.law to learn more or call 405-698-0131. Schedule your consultation today. Elevate your representation with All Rise today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spirit Talkers Podcast.
All right. We're back.
We're back. Better than ever.
That's right.
In shape.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
look at Chris.
Man.
Looking like a golden trophy over here.
Yeah. Look like I work at McDonald's.
Looking like the Super Bowl trophy.
So you want some fries?
Jacked. No, but I know it's been a minute. So we are actually at the College of the Muskogee Nation.
What?
And we are recording here. I appreciate them wanting to have us do something, with them. They've been messaging us, and I finally got to talk to Colt in person about it, and TJ, because we had a Full Blood Productions comedy show here, and I was doing media for it, photography and some videography, and so I finally got to meet him in person rather than Facebook Messenger, and then, so dang, that was back in June, I think, so here we are in September, so, I mean, it didn't take a while, it was just us trying to get our schedules together, and because we're both super busy.
Yep.
Chris has work, McDonald's.
Yeah.
And
making them fries fresh for you.
And for everybody out there, go see him. Give him a coupon. And I mean, it's just been, I don't know. So just busy. I mean, getting through stuff and then finding time to do it. But I thought a change of scenery would be really cool, kind of like a mini tour of recording sessions. And so I think we can go ahead and announce it that we're going to have an event here October 29th. Is that right, Chris?
I believe so.
So we've worked on a pilot of a show, and we've been in contact with these producers from LA, and so they've been giving their time to create a show with us. And we made a pilot last summer. I can't believe it's already been a year since we've done that. And so we did that, and so now we're trying to preview it here at the College of Muskogee Nation. And so it's a free event is what we're going for. October 29th. I think the time is 6 p.m. So it's going to be the premiere of our pilot.
Again, you guys need to invite everybody you can come out to this event. Again, we're looking for help, to put this on air, not only financially, but, just supportively. Again, this is going to be one here in the U.S., run by natives, made by natives for natives. Again, if you guys can help us out, I know we got some of the best listeners out there. We got some of the best supporters, best fans, out there. You guys do a phenomenal job. Again, please help us out on that evening. Just like with this podcast, it's just not just me and Russell, but it's each and every one of you guys that help us with stories, help us with locations, help us with information. That's the difference between us and non-native podcasts. We're a community, and here, definitely, even though we reside here in Oklahoma, we get a chance to travel. We get to meet each and every one of you guys wherever we go, again, and we take that time to listen and to hear your stories, and share those experiences. Again, we appreciate it. And again, if you guys can help us out, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yep. Help us out. Let's get it going.
That's the other thing, too. I just wanted you guys to know that, we were listening to you guys. But, just like life, sometimes life keeps you busy sometimes. And I know both me and Russell, we've been super busy these days. And, it's hard for us to get back to the studio, back to recording. But, again, we've never forgot you guys. Again, and I know some of you guys that have sent in stories. I know when y'all catch me out and about, y'all say, how come y'all ain't said our story yet? Well, we're getting ready to do that this evening. So, again, it's not that we forgot. We just, had to take care of a lot of things, at this time. So, again, we're back at it. And, again, we appreciate you guys sending in all your stories.
Yeah, and I will say, just to be honest on here, because I get that too, and I don't know if nobody knows, or because people keep asking and like bringing it up and stuff like that about why we don't record. But man, you have to understand, like, I lost my dad about 1.5 years ago.
Yep.
And so it's been really tough to get to a point where my mind is clear enough to not see what I had to see the last couple weeks of what I had to see. And so it was a very traumatic experience. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, and to feel that type of pain. And so, this is going to be probably the last time I mention it, because I don't know. It's hard to bring it up all the time when people keep asking. If you go back a few episodes, maybe last year, I think, there's an episode where I break down, and it was hard to continue on, but I tried. And so for me, honestly, it's like, I want to give, 100% to the podcast, editing, recording, setting up, taking down, traveling with it. Like, I want to give 100% to everything I try to do, and that goes for Okie Podcast too. It's like, I had to find a way to continue on in a positive way. And so videography and photography was that route, that street to go on, learn a new skill, while grieving, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, I took it serious in this amount of time to where it's grown a lot. Like, Sun Eagle Media has grown a lot, and I've learned a lot doing what I do with photography and videography and bookings. And so it really helped because I really didn't have to talk much to people just about what they wanted. It's not like here where I have to talk about a lot of stuff and, keep my mind going, because my mind would just go back to the same thing of what I saw. And so, hope everyone listens to this episode and hears my just, what is it? My explanation of why, we haven't been, yes, we've been busy too, but, I just haven't been here mentally 100%. And so, now it's to a point where I've gotten a lot stronger, and just now, I can finally probably start doing the pods more, rather than just constantly thinking about the one thing that happened a year and a half ago. So
Yeah.
that's a part of it too. And like, that's life though, that life happens. And man, I don't wish what I had to go through. I don't wish that on nobody. Like, I really don't, love me or hate me. I don't have any hate for anybody, and I do not wish anything like that on nobody. So, whoa, a light went off over there, but yeah, that's just my explanation, and respectfully, respect us and our time. My explanation of what was going on. And so, we tried to do some episodes about states, but once again, I mean, I just wasn't really fully there. Yeah. I wasn't fully there. So I just was kind of just going through the motions, and it just wasn't fair to our viewers and listeners.
I know, Russell, you've been tearing it up, boy. You've been doing a lot of events and been going all over the place, and that's good. Again, I know your dad would be very proud of you, all the things that you've been able to accomplish. Again, I know that time was hard. Again, that's why never really pushed you or rushed you or anything like that. Again, and also know life is life. Yeah. We all got bills, we all got obligations, we all got responsibilities, and you've been doing a real good job on all those things. So again, I just want to say, T.Y., you're doing a good job, and I look forward to seeing all the things that you do. And every time I see you post up, boy, you just make me proud. Because I know your father's smiling down upon you. Proud of you, because he was a hard worker too. He was a good guy. And so everything he was, you can see it in you.
Thank you. Yep. Yeah, and I had to realize that too. Like, he wouldn't want me to live in that. I guess, like, what, depression, Chris? Is that,
well,
kind of like,
I wouldn't call it depression. I would call it mourning.
Mourning.
Right? When you lose a loved one, mourning hits us all different. And that's what I told you before. You're going to have your good days. You're going to have your bad days. From that day forward, it's always going to affect you. There's going to be a Christmas or a holiday or just a day that he pops in your head. And, it's going to bring that tear to your eye. Yeah. But, again, you've got to remember how he lived, how he wanted you to live. And, again, those memories aren't always a bad thing. It's just when what's fresh, it cuts you deep. But later on, those memories are going to turn into joy. Yeah,
true. Yeah. Oh, and then I guess too. Also, Natty passed away. So my dog, right? Like, you've all seen her on the podcast, not jumping around, but on the couch behind us, and whining during the podcast, probably seeing those spirits. But we had her for 10 years, and we had to put her down about 5 months ago. And so that was tough. So I mean, I don't know. It was really strange though, Chris, because like I had to watch almost like what my dad had to go through with her. And it was very like bringing that same memory back too,
Yeah.
and that was tough. And then right after like my dad passed away, remember that cat that was outside?
Yeah.
That cat passed away, and then like it was like a neighborhood cat though, but I still cared for it and him enough to feed him and give him water and stuff like that, and just treat him good, like. And so, but I guess he was old though. He was probably like 17 years old, is what that lady was saying. So she put him down, and so I was there with them too. But I mean, it was just like I don't know, it was like a just tragic events like that. Just having to see, because it was the same thing with him too. It was so weird, but I don't know. And then that's what just kept playing in my head all the time. But I don't know. I mean, like you said before, I think when that first happened, you just have to learn how to adapt to life with these things happening. And so, it's been a constant, just, yes, I face it, but also just keep grinding.
Yep.
Like staying busy and just, trying my best to, like you said, like get booked and, travel and do things that I think are right. So, but yeah, that's basically what's the holdup of the pod. No, but I mean, I feel good. I feel better. And I've been, like I told Chris earlier, I've been running a lot. And so I've just been jogging like 2 to 3 miles a day and in the gym. And it really takes my mind off a lot of stuff. Because like you said, like I do have my bad days, right? When I think of my dad or Natty or something, right? And then when I run, I think of that stuff. And then it just kind of mellows itself out.
Yep.
Like Forrest Gump.
God. So you just keep running across America.
Yeah, you'll just see me run with that Spirit Talker shirt.
Yeah, so there goes Russell. No. He's trying to be that Hawk Chief. God.
Hawk Gump.
God.
Gump Hawk.
Dang. That's funny.
No, but before we go into these stories, though, Chris, I was in Albuquerque about a couple weeks ago, and I had some scary stuff happen. And so we stayed at this B&B, and it was out in Albuquerque, I think Old Town, I think. And so, man, this B&B was huge. It was ginormous, probably one of the biggest B&Bs I ever stayed in. And my coworkers were with me, but they left for the night to be with my director's family. So they were out watching a meteor shower. I stayed behind because I had to finish some stuff up and rest from flying. So I wanted to rest a little bit, get ready for the next day. And man, like, it's probably like the sun started going down, started getting dark. And then once it got dark, though, I could just hear, I don't know, it was almost like footsteps around upstairs, because there's a downstairs and an upstairs. And so I could hear like footsteps and like walking upstairs, because like it's a remodeled house, but there's still creaks and stuff like that when you walk and stuff like upstairs. And so I was hearing that, and like I don't get freaked out. I just kind of thought, oh, it's probably just the house settling, right? But it kept happening, and it got louder and louder, as if it was trying to get my attention. And so I don't know, I was just kind of sitting there, and it would stop, then it would start again, and then probably like 11:30, I'm gonna go to bed. And so walked upstairs, and then when I went upstairs, I was in the bathroom. I could hear whatever it was downstairs, but it was almost like it was moving stuff around. And so I kind of thought my coworkers were back, but I was like, they can't be back already. They left around 7. And so I didn't think much of it. And then, you know me, I like the dark, so I turned every light off in the house. I went back downstairs, check around. I didn't see nothing, hear nobody. Turned all the lights off. Went back upstairs, turned all the lights off. Went my room. And I was clipping at the time, so that's when I was clipping a lot of our episodes to post on TikTok. And so I was just clipping and going through our old episodes and getting ready for the next day to post. And man, I started hearing like stuff downstairs again.
Damn.
And then I heard like what sounded like something heavy slowly walking up the stairs. It was like and it wasn't grunt. That was the noise like the stairs are making. And
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm about 295, and you know they still creak, but this thing was like taking big steps up, walking up, and I was like, I stopped, and when I stopped clipping, it stopped. Like whatever it was stopped, and then I just thought, okay, whatever, and then I started clipping again, and then it moved from like the stairs to the roof, like where my room was.
Ooh.
And it was like walking around on the roof.
Damn.
And I stopped again, and I was looking up. And I said, man, I guess something's here. I didn't know what to think. I was about to text you, but it was late though. Like, cause it was already like almost 12:30, cause I was clipping for like a long time, an hour almost. And then it would have been 11:30 here. And then I was just like, whatever. And so started clipping again. I was like, I'm almost done. I was trying to clip like 5 clips of our episode so I can just have them ready for Tuesday and Wednesday. And so, or Wednesday and Thursday. And then started doing it again. And then like it moved from the roof to back to the stairs again. And I was like, oh man. So finally I was like, man, I'm just going to text these guys. And right when I was about to text them, like it stopped like at the top of the stairs, because I know where it stops. And then it stopped, and I was like, all right. I was about to say, hey, are you guys back? Are you in the house? And then anyways, I didn't text them, and then I got up, and my floor creaks in my room. So I got up, and I was like, well, whatever it is probably heard me walking around. So man, I opened my door like real slow, and it's pitch black in that house. Like there's no lights. And I was like, I should have kept all the lights on, but I looked outside my door, nothing. I went in the hallway, I turned the light on, there was nothing. And then like it was dead quiet. And I had no cedar. I didn't have no tobacco. I didn't have nothing. I just, because like we were flying, so I was like, I don't want to get held up. What is this? Holding that baggie up a cedar. But yeah, I don't know. I opened it, and then I actually walked around the house. I went a hallway. I went downstairs, turned the lights on, looked around. Nothing. Nothing, Chris. And then you could dim the lights too in the house. So I turned them all on, and I dimmed the kitchen lights, and then I just kind of dimmed our hallway lights. And then I didn't hear nothing after that. And I fell asleep. And then I was like, man, if I have a bad dream, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be really mad, because I'm gonna probably have a weird dream. But I didn't have no dreams. I didn't have nothing. And then woke up probably around 4. Had to use the bathroom. I didn't hear nothing. Nobody was back. It was just me in that big house. And then my coworkers text me at like about 6:30, because I got up around 6, and then because I was going to get ready. And then they texted me, and they're like, we're about to be on our way. I was like, okay. I was like, dang, so nobody was here but me.
Damn.
In this big house. And so the next day, though, we found some cedar, and I got some tobacco and laid it out. And so after that, like, nothing happened.
That's crazy. You know, I know everybody likes those, renting those B&B places. I know somebody had sent me a kind of like a short story video, and basically it was about someone renting those B&Bs, and they owned them. This person owned these B&Bs, and they was kind of crazy, and they would wait till people would fall asleep. They would hide off in those houses Then they would come in and kill them, bury
Whoa.
them somewhere, take all their stuff, and then when people start looking for them, they say, "I don't know, they just rented the place. I don't know anything about that." And
Whoa.
they got away with that for a long time. And I was sitting there thinking, man, that is scary in itself.
That is.
So next time I go stay somewhere, I'm always gonna sleep with one eye open. Look like that iguana, be looking around, boy. But
Wow.
when I watched that, I thought, man, that's crazy. People got some. I don't know, but they said that was based on a true story, and I was trying to research and find out, if it was, but I never did find anything. But I didn't have a lot of time to really research it. So if any of you guys know that story and it's true, let me know, because I mean that really I don't know, shocked me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but when you was talking about that, it already popped in my head. I said, I bet it's that dude. He's
Oh
probably
my God.
he's probably hiding in the attic, boy, waiting for y'all to go to sleep. And then
Ugh.
dang.
Well, so I'll mention this. I didn't tell nobody else this. It might have been too scary, but man, it was the next night, I believe, because we went out, I got tobacco, and so it was probably like 10:30, 11, and then everybody was kind of going to sleep, and then I was like, well, I'm going to lay this out. So I went out to our patio, and then so let's say our patio's here, and I was out here, and if you go this way, I guess it's kind of like a backyard. I didn't go back there, like I just never thought to. But so I'm out here and I'm trying to lay this tobacco out, and I'm talking. And man, right when I'm about to lay it down, I hear this. I don't know what it was. It wasn't an animal. It was like, or like it was in the backyard. And then I looked, and I was like, "Oh, I'm stupid. I shouldn't have looked," because I was like, "What if something was there?" But I looked, and right when I looked, it stopped, and I didn't hear like nothing run off, scurry away. There was nothing, and it was dark outside. And then I was just kind of looking around, and I was like, should I go back there? Should I walk back there? And I had my phone on me though. I left my phone in my room, and I was like, man, if I had my phone, I would go back there because I don't have a light. I don't have nothing. And then but then again, I was just like, should I go back there? What would Chris do? What would Chris do? But no, I ended up.
Chris would have been calling you from one of those other hotels.
But I don't know. I looked. I didn't hear nothing else. And then it got real quiet though. Like when that happened, everything stopped almost. Like because there were crickets and stuff like chirping and like bugs. But then when that happened, it was dead quiet. So I was like, okay, well, all right then. So I finished laying that down, and I went inside, and then I didn't hear nothing like that ever again. But I've never heard something like that before, and so it was just very, very weird. But once again, I didn't get terrified because I didn't want it to start feeding off my fear. I just tried to stay calm as possible because I didn't want whatever it was to go look into my room, because we had a big old window in my room, and then but there's a blind that you pull down, and so, but yeah, it was pretty intense, Chris. And then I didn't tell nobody that. They'll probably hear it now, probably get all scared, but but I didn't tell like my coworkers that. I just told them what I heard that first night. And then we all smoked off and stuff, because I was like, man, whatever's here, because that's Pueblo land, right?
Yeah.
In Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And so once again, like I was telling them, I was just like, yes, it's Pueblo land, but man, like I don't know what happened on the street or in this house or the history of this land Pacific where we're at. So,
well, that Albuquerque, all that area, they had those Pueblo wars way back, and
sure,
they fought with the Spanish, Mexico, and there's a lot of. You'll hear those stories when you travel down there. They'll tell you all these stories of how they fought it out, and not only them, but even those pueblos. They kind of battled it out with each other and with the Zunis and the Navajos, and so there was a lot of I guess what you'd say war in that area. So again, you'll catch a lot of stuff down there. That's why I love going down there. Because of that, you're getting that opportunity to hear those stories and have those experiences. I think, to be honest, a lot of places down there are haunted. But again, the thing when you was telling that story, that little short movie was what was playing in my head. And when I was talking about that with some of my coworkers, about that person hiding out in that B&B, killing people off. They said there's a lot of movies like that. Mm-hmm. People hiding in the walls and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they said there's a lot of movies like that. I said, man, I ain't never heard any movies like that before, but I'm glad I didn't watch them, because boy, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to stay awake in one of those B&Bs. If I saw a movie like that, I'd be too spooked.
Yeah, there's one. I think it's called The Boy. Have you heard of that one? I think it's called The Boy, but it's supposed to be about. Well, it seemed like it was going to be about this doll that came to life, but there's actually like a man living in these walls, watching these people in their home that they bought.
Oh yeah.
And so you didn't really know what it was that was making stuff move around, and stuff would be gone, and then like people would just feel something watching them. You didn't know it was him until like I think there's a scene where there's like a hole in the wall. You see this eyeball just looking at somebody.
Yeah.
And so it turns out it was a man, I guess, that I forgot. I watched it. I kind of liked it, but I didn't like the movie too much.
I might have to watch it. What is it called again? The Boy?
The Boy. And I think they made a second one too. And so, but yeah, I don't know. I have to watch it again. Once again, I was younger, so my mind is probably just everywhere.
If you guys know any more movies like that, I guess send them in. I'll try to be brave enough to watch them.
Have you seen Weapons yet?
Yes, I've seen.
What did you think of Weapons?
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like what we call it, like a witching story, basically, and they kept those kids under kind of what do you call it, in a trance, mm-hmm. and that what is that, basement mm-hmm. and mm-hmm. stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. I could have made it a lot more scarier, but I thought it was pretty decent. So, mm-hmm. What'd you think of it?
I liked it. Man, I give it probably 9 out of 10. I really liked it. I mean, I think I looked more at what that director does in these short films into a big film. So it gave like stories of every character that leads up to the end. And that's what he did in Barbarian too. But this one was more of that story from each character. So Barbarian was cool. I like that. But I thought this one was good because we talk about that stuff too. Witching.
Do you remember we talked about this on one of our episodes? We showed that hotel room, and basically the security guard was called up to that room. They were screaming and hollering, and it sounded like somebody was getting beat up in that room. And when that security guard went up there and knocked on the door, nobody answered. And when he opened it, you see this that I don't know what you call it, like a heat image or something, come walking out of the room. He goes in there and there's nothing in there. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a story from someone that was staying at a hotel near Pine Ridge, and they said they kept hearing someone fighting around above their room. And this hotel casino is is a known place there. It's super old, and a lot of people's gone out there and committed suicide or got beat up and got killed. And that Pine Ridge area is kind of rough area, but they kept hearing them people fighting, above them, and they called security guard, and of course security guard went up there, and nobody was up there, and they heard it happen again. They called that front desk and said, I think them people are, really fighting. So it sounded like if you don't go up there, something's gonna happen. They said, well, we had someone go up there and check it out, but nobody up there. And person asked them, please just go up there and check again. And that front desk person says, okay. So he calls security, and the person goes out of their room to catch that security guard to go up there with them. Sure enough, they go up there and they open the door, and ain't nobody there.
Dang.
And I was like, dang, that's what reminded me of that when they was telling me that story. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, that's pretty crazy story. So,
yeah.
But, these hotels, motels, and now I guess these B&Bs, to me it's just another opportunity to go place and, see something and experience something.
Yeah. Have you had any weird hotel things happen?
Man, I've had a whole lot. Of course, I'm always on the road, so, even this year, I went to St. Louis, and we were staying in this hotel, and I think it was over there by the airport. Anyway, make a long story short, again, and I've had this kind of experience before. You hear somebody walking down the hall, they're clearing their voice, rustling their keys. Mm-hmm. And they come to your door and they knock. And, I've had this happen to me, I don't know how many times, at so many different hotels and motels. And one thing that always pops in my head, never answer that door. Mm-hmm. So I don't even look at that peephole. I said, there ain't nobody know I'm here. Mm-hmm. So I don't do it. So I've had, just that happen this past summer. So.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, I think like the B&B thing is probably the only thing that's happened to me. I've stayed in hotels, but I don't know, maybe I just don't pay attention enough.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. It's always hot in hotels, even though the AC's on. It's always like a dry heat.
Yeah.
And then I always forget my fan. So I think I'm more worried about just being uncomfortable.
Dang.
Because I like a colder environment. I can't sleep in a mildly not so cold environment. Like I have to be shivering. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, and then so weapons, I give it, yeah, I liked it. I really liked it. I thought about us not witching people, but our episode we did about witching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, what was that tree? Is that a real thing? The little tree she had with the branches that she would.
Yeah. I mean, different people use different things. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like about, some of these movies. Somebody does some good research.
On us.
Yeah. And so, whoever's doing that research, they're finding out, these different, I guess how you say, witching elements. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's pretty cool. I mean, because if you don't know anything, you'll think, oh, they just made that up, or this isn't a real thing, But if you do your research and you'll find out that a lot of that stuff is real, that's an actual, I guess what you would say, a study or a way of witching people, those different types of trees, like in Japan and in some parts of Europe, they use those kind of things. But you also got in France they use something similar to that as well. So, again, this is to me it was pretty cool to see that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I know a couple of people that had seen it too. They asked me, "So is that like Louisiana witchcraft?" I said, "Well, technically, yeah. I mean, because that's a mixture of French, Indian, and African, and all three of them had that kind of way. So they just kind of combined it and made it that Louisiana hoodoo or voodoo, type stuff. So,
Really? Okay. Yeah, I watched it twice actually.
Oh, you did?
The first time I didn't know. I never watched a trailer for it, so I didn't know what I was walking into. But I tend to do that now. I just don't watch trailers. I just go into a movie and I'm surprised. So, but yeah, watching it, I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. Like, I mean, yeah, it's scary, but spirit talkers, right? Like, we talk about this stuff, we hear stories about it, and then I mean, it goes way back to just not even like it goes back a long time ago, and so it made me think about that, and so I watched it again, and oh man, it was just interesting to kind of watch it again and know what's happening, and then the personal items. Wrap it around a twig.
I tell you what, if you like that, if you can get on Shudder, they have a movie. I think it's called "Song in the Dark" or "Singing in the Dark." I can't remember the actual name, but it's something similar to that. And it's actually an African witchcraft movie. And I tell you what, that is a wicked, wicked movie.
Really?
If you want to watch something that's going to keep you up, I mean. This basically the without giving out the ending, this is basically about this young African girl. She comes from one of those we call it African medicine people. Her father was this great medicine person amongst their people, but she's grown up and she's colonized, I guess you say, and. So she knows she was taught, everything her father taught her, and her father's fathers, comes from a long lineage, long line of people like that. And so she knows all that stuff, but, in her mind, she doesn't really believe in it, but she was taught all of that. Well, come to find out, one of her relatives, I think it's her aunt, was kind of the same way, kind of wanted to not deal with those old ways and, become, I guess what you call colonized, and so she went and married a guy, that wasn't from around there. And, he was a white guy. Yeah. She married a white guy and she tried to be white, and she tried to be her and her kids, but, someone ended up getting mad at him, from the village that they were originally from, and they whooped it on her, good, and so that thing was, basically, make a long story short, coming after that family. And so that aunt, she knew her niece was taught everything her father and them knew, so she went to her and said, hey, we need your help, whether you believe or don't believe, this stuff's real, and you know what to do to this. And so, make a long story short, there's a big battle royal at the end. And again, if you like those witchcraft movies, that's the one to watch.
What's it called?
It's like a Song in the Dark or Singing in the Dark or something like that. And it was made, I think, last year.
Oh, wow.
And so it's pretty current, and but it's it's set up in the African community, and and how they're set up, and I guess the way it is over there now. So you see a lot of new stuff, but then they flip it, and it's old school.
Gotcha. I have to watch it.
Yeah,
Shudder's got some good stuff.
Yeah, Shudder's got a lot of those foreign films. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'll watch some of them, and then I'll look some of that stuff up, and I'm like, dang, That's pretty crazy.
Now, I just saw your post. You hated Conjuring.
Yes, I did. I'll be first one. I was very disappointed in Conjuring the Last Rite. Not that. I'll just say this: if you're wanting a good spook or a good scare, and you don't know anything, that's a movie to go see. You know,
Yeah.
it'll spook you. It's got some what do you call it? Where it goes, oh,
Jump scare.
yeah, jump scares. You know, and got some good ones in there. And then you see all the famous evil spirits from all the other Conjurings. They kind of make their what do you call it? Their presence known in this last movie. You know, you get to see a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, even Annabelle comes dancing around. You know, and so if you like all those older Conjuring movies franchise, you'll like this because you'll get to see all your famous spirits in there. But I was expecting something evil, something scary to watch, and not to ruin it for anybody, but I'll just
Spoiler alert.
I'll just say, I guess what you call it, the theme of the start. I think someone commented that saw it too, and they said, "Yeah, I was disappointed too because I was expecting this, but it becomes to be basically a love story. I guess that's basically." And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
Nothing's more scarier than love. No, but yeah, I was like, man, I was really disappointed with that movie, and but again, you guys out there, y'all might like it. That's just me. I was expecting a lot more from it, and
I saw it yesterday.
oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about it?
I didn't like it too much either. Well, it didn't even. Okay, so spoiler alert. I mean, this will be out later on, but spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry. So, Chris, I'm just going to ask you, did they said that, or that girl's mom, I guess Lorraine, she said that there's 3 spirits, and there was one controlling them. So, what was controlling them? They never even said, like, what it was.
It was the demonic spirit, and again, they didn't name it.
Yeah, they never,
That's
what I thought.
They didn't name it, but that demonic spirit was the one that was controlling all 3 spirits. And forcing them to do those kind of things in there. So, again, I don't know. It was just
Was it just the mirror?
no. The demon or demonic spirit used that mirror as a tool.
Yeah, okay.
And so that mirror was just basically a tool of that demonic spirit, and that's where it housed. And that's why when they tried to destroy it, it fought back and it got mad and it showed back up. And, not to ruin it for you ain't watched it, but, again, it's just, I don't know. It was just kind of
Go ahead
crazy.
and ruin it.
Well, then once you want, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I was just saying, that to me that was okay, but like I said, towards the end, at the end, I was just like ready to throw up. But I said, man, what kind of movie? Spent $30 to see this movie.
I know, right?
I was so mad, I almost couldn't eat my popcorn. No. Yeah.
I think the only one I liked was the first one.
Yeah.
The first one was good because it was new. It was one of their stories they did, and
I like that one, but I like The Nun. To me, The Nun was probably the best out of all of them. And it wasn't the story; it was just the acting that I liked. It was the story. All the stories are kind of cheap, but again, I know that those 2 investigators, they were well known, and again. People always debate whether it was real or not real, and but to me, I always think you can't call that unless you was there. You know, and so there's times I've been places where, man, I know ain't nobody gonna believe me on any of this. You know, the things that I've experienced and the things that I've saw, you know, or heard. You know, I know ain't nobody gonna believe you unless they were there and they experienced it. You know, we've been at places, you know, together, and you know, people probably, you know, when they see it, or when they get to come to this premiere, if they get to come, you know, they'll probably be talking all kinds of noise. But unless you was there, you know, keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That happens a lot too, because even like some of the clips we have, or like stories I share on our TikTok and stuff like that. You know, they always have some person that's like, "Oh, that didn't happen. That's not real. That's a made up story." But it's almost like, well, you don't know. Like, you weren't there. You know, you don't feel the fear that these people feel when they have to see these things or hear them or
experience them.
You know, and it's just, I don't know. It's almost like, well, wait till you have an experience, you know, and then people will say like, oh, that ain't real, you know, like, but it's the same thing. I mean, and so that's why I like to do this too, because whatever stories we do get, you know, it gives that person an opportunity to share it, to talk about it, to not feel like they're in a place where there's people like that are like, that's not real.
Yeah.
You're crazy. So, you know, that's why I like this pod, because we're able to do that for our people, but I guess everybody, because we have listeners from everywhere.
Yep.
Chris has some stories. This is probably like a welcome back episode, though. You know, like, and then I wanted to hear your opinion on the movie you hated.
Yeah. Well, let me read this one story. So
it better be good.
Yeah. All right. This one's from. It's anonymous from Wichita Mountains. It goes, I have a story I would like to share. It happened on a 4-mile road close to the Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge. Me, my mom, my grandma, and my brother was on our way to a family gathering out on family land. I was sitting in the passenger seat, and my brother was sitting in the back seat. My grandma told me we were going to go through the back way just because, anyway, I was on my phone scrolling through Facebook. And I happened to look up, and I saw a very tall figure and long arms, and it looked like it had a white tux on. And it took about 2 steps across the road. I looked back down, took a couple of deep breaths, and took back up, and it was going where a bunch of dead trees were. And there was no houses around just yet. I didn't say anything because I honestly thought it was just me till we passed by about where I seen it. And till this day, we don't know what it was. What do you think it might have been?
So, was it hairy?
It just said it was tall, dark, and looked like it had a tuxedo on.
So, like, I guess white in the middle, and then all black?
Yep.
Tuxedo. Like, oh, well, I guess no hat or nothing.
Mm-mm.
I mean...
Might have been a big old penguin. No.
Pink Panther standing up.
No, you know... This kind of, to me, this goes to, and this is where you have to have kind of knowledge on a lot of those traditional stories. You know, there's a lot of stories out there that talk about these woodland spirits. Mm-hmm. And these woodland spirits, they can be described similar to this. Sometimes they'll have a long coat, or they might have a certain set of feathers. You know, or, you know, it'll have kind of old time dress, and these woodland spirits, they're each one of them are different. Some can be helpful, and some can guide you, some can protect you, and then there's some that are just straight up, evil. Some like to play games with you and make you go mad. So, to me, this is kind of, I would have liked to know a little bit more on this, entity, to kind of determine exactly what kind of woodland type spirit it might be.
So when you say woodland, like, are you talking like the people that live there? Like those spirits? Or?
When I talk about woodland, I guess I should say forest. Because all tribes, I don't care, all the way from Alaska all the way down to Mexico, they all had stories of these things that took care of you would encounter them in the forest or the woods. They even had prairie spirits, spirits of the prairie or the mountains. And just like we had spirits in the water, and even canyons and caves, they all had different spirits that, some resided in those things and some protected those things. So, again, and a lot of these things, the information has basically disappeared.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I know you've mentioned that before, but I didn't really know what that meant.
I don't know if you remember this, but when we were, me and you did a show somewhere, and I can't remember.
You talking about Purim?
It might have been. They took us out into the road or woods, if I remember correctly, and something began to throw things at us.
Purim.
And I told you, sometimes, you encounter, they're not Bigfoot. They're these kind of woodland spirits. And I think, if I remember correctly, someone had told a story that night about one of them. So, again, when you talk about these things, sometimes they come around.
True. Yeah. That was in Purim. Because they took us kind of way out. It was way out in the dirt roads, and I don't know where we were. It was nighttime. And then, remember that tree was down? Remember? We couldn't go further up.
Yeah.
Because something had knocked a big tree down in the middle of the road. And that's where whatever it was, threw a rock. Or rocks.
Yeah. I remember that now. If I remember correctly, it was by some, what did they call it? It was like where a train went off the track, wasn't it? Or a trail? Something like that. I don't know. I might be confused, but I think they talked about there was a trail cart that was in the woods, and it was by a mountain, wasn't it? Or am I confused?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
50-50.
Well, I knew it was somewhere. We did some kind of show, and yeah, we had that kind of experience.
I was more worried about the rocks being thrown.
Yeah, those were some big old rocks, though.
Yeah.
Whatever was thrown, it wasn't. It was throwing those rocks like pebbles.
Well, didn't people that were with us hear like something running? Or,
yes.
Or multiple runners in the forest.
But before that, if you remember correctly, people started to smell this smell.
Oh, true, yeah.
So.
Yeah. I kind of smelt it. But when we were in Eufaula or Holdenville,
yeah,
that's when I really smelled, I guess, what everybody smells with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And you confirmed that.
Yep.
That's what it smells like.
Yep.
And that was weird.
That's crazy. Yeah. Like I said, whether people believe us or not, I know what we experience, and that's good enough for me. So
Yeah. So with that, catch us October 29th here at the College of Muskogee Nation. I believe 6 p.m. I'll have a time for the next one. I'll look at the agenda. But Chris, let them know where to follow you.
you can follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram under Christopher Honka Hill. Mado.
Yep. You can find me, Russell Sun Eagle, on Facebook, Sun Eagle Media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Follow us, Spirit Talkers Podcast on Facebook, Spirit_Talkers_podcast on Instagram, and Spirit Talkers Podcast on TikTok. You could subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please go out there and subscribe. Watch the video pods. We're on Spotify, Apple, pretty much everywhere. If you just Google us, you can find us on all streaming platforms. And if you have any stories about anything we talked about, or maybe you like The Conjuring, I don't know, you want to debate Chris,
Yeah.
send us a story or something. We're always looking for people to share their experiences, and it doesn't have to be about a specific thing to what we're doing, what we're talking about. It could be anything.
Yep.
Bigfoot, little people, deer woman, Mothman, Jersey Devil,
Yeah.
woodland spirits. What else is there, Chris?
All kinds of things. There's water spirits,
Water spirit.
water babies, you name it. Chupacabras, you name it. Send it in to us.
Yeah, send it in. We'll read it. If you want it to be anonymous, or if you want us to read your name, let us know. We can do that, and then send it to our Instagram or our Facebook or even our personals, Chris Hill or Russell Sun Eagle. And I think that's it. So we will see y'all next time. Thank you for being patient and sticking with us.
Mado.